Hello, this is Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. Well, if you're a fan of Downton Abbey, or if you like fashion or history, you might like to head over to Muzeo in Anaheim. They have a new exhibit going on. It's called Dressing Downton. And with us now to tell us more about it is Anaheim City Councilman James Vanderbilt. Welcome.
Thank you, Leslie.
Dressing Downton, it's an exhibition of the actual costumes worn in the series.
Exactly. This is a tremendously successful show that ended in 2015, but there's still so much pent-up interest that an exhibit like this is probably one way to help satisfy that craving. So Anaheim Muzeo is fortunate to have the only West Coast exhibition of this touring display of these 36 costumes from that show.
So the display, if you like the show, you get to see the actual costumes worn by the actors and the actresses, but it's also commentary on history of the changing times, because fashion does talk about what's going on in our society as we evolve.
Exactly. This show covers a period from the sinking of the Titanic up into the mid-1920s. And so during that period, especially in England, which was an era where clothing was very well thought out and detailed, you can see this transformation from an era of really opulent costumes to somewhat more austere after or during World War I, and then on into the sort of roaring 20s era.
And you see it represented by the characters and the positions they hold in the English society. And you see even that evolve through the clothing options.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You know, this show is centered around an aristocratic family that is fictional, but they've spent a lot of time and detail to make sure that the outfits fit the era. And so you can see both not only aristocratic family outfits, but also the type of clothing that the servants wore during that era as well. And this show, as I mentioned earlier, is sort of taken over maybe a 10, 12-year period right into the point where aristocratic society started to end, and there was some changes that happened all the way through.
Yeah, Titanic, World War I, 1925. And this is in contrast with an exhibition that parallels locally some of the fashions that were happening here in America while these fashions were being worn in England.
That's true. Anaheim is fortunate to have its a standard exhibit that shows a lot of clothing that reflects the era of agricultural periods in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And so the curators for this show took some real effort to try to find pieces from the Anaheim collection that matched the same period. And so you'll see a bit of a contrast, though, because in England, the fabrics were much more opulent, while in Anaheim, the agricultural area had more of an austere or basic and more of blacks and dark colors. So it's interesting to see that contrast.
Well, possibly more functional. If you're busy on the farm, you're going to wear darker clothes, and if you're sipping tea, you might have a beaded gown or something.
Of course, yeah. And it is. I mean, this is a chance to see these costumes up close, and again, it does tell a real story, and it does show, you know, even though we pride ourselves in the United States of being a classless society, we still have this fascination for royalty and aristocratic societies, and I think that's why this exhibit is particularly interesting to a lot of people here.
Yeah, we see the hemlines, of course, change. We see the fabrics change, even in the military wear that the soldiers in Downton Abbey wore.
Right. You know, certainly the period of World War I, the English troops were much more concerned about appearance, right? This is a sort of a gentleman's approach to war. Later on and during World War II and even to today, uniforms are much more functional as opposed to having a stately appearance.
Now, there are some other events surrounding the exhibition, including tea that you can actually go experience. Tell us about that.
Sure. Yeah, the Muzeo is also sponsoring these tea times, these tea parties. If you've ever been to Pasadena, they are many places that do something similar to this. But they have brought in a catering company that will be using these vintage china ware, flatware, silver and gold that again match the era, and sort of give visitors to the Muzeo a little taste of what it was like to live in that period of time.
And a really fun experience too. So you could go see the exhibition and then have your tea at the same time. Do you need to make reservations ahead of time?
You do, yes, especially for the exhibit tickets, because those are actually being sold out on time blocks, and so reservations are strongly encouraged in purchasing the tickets online. You can do that at muzeo.org. And then the other great feature about the location of Muzeo is it's in the middle of a really revitalized part of Anaheim, downtown, or it's now called Center City. And so many of your viewers probably are familiar with the Packing House, which is just a few blocks away, but we also have a number of other new eateries and places that have different types of beverages. You know, we certainly have the craft beer locations, and then we have a wine bar right next door to the Muzeo. So it's a great place to spend a lot of an afternoon. If you have a chance to see this exhibit, then you can also do other things.
It's fun to do something different for a change. I mean, who would have really thought about doing that, especially in the afternoon? If you're looking for an afternoon date or a great day out with your friends or something, it would be really nice. I also know that you have a raffle, an opportunity for a great trip in association with this showing.
Sure, the Muzeo is a nonprofit organization, and so it has to rely on raising money. And there is, for $25, a chance to get tickets to visit England, see the castles, and again, experience more of the Downton Abbey experience.
How is it that this exhibition came to Muzeo?
Well, it's certainly the hard work of our executive director, Dan Fenley, has been trying to bring all sorts of exhibits. We've had others recently that involve miniature trains and chocolate and insects. So there's even an exhibit that they use recycled trash that the kids participate in. So it's really not just a museum as much as it is an educational center.
And an attraction to bring people into Anaheim and to have a good time doing that as well. What about things coming up at Muzeo after this, so that we all make it out there to see that, but look forward to other events?
Sure. Well, the museum is, again, like many other cultural centers, requires membership, and so it is interested in having more exhibits to draw people that want to encourage them to make multiple visits. The programs that will be focused in the spring deal a lot for helping children learn more about Anaheim's cultural past as well as its present. The high school students participate in a art exhibit that they prepare the art items for, and then there's some judging done and some contests. We also have, again, the Public Utilities Department will sponsor an event that encourages students to build art from recycled items, and those are also going to be on exhibit sometime this spring.
Okay. So the current one is Dressing Downton. It's at Muzeo through May 7th.
That's right.
And you can go on their website to check it out and attend.
Absolutely.
All right. We appreciate you being here to talk about this and let people know what's going on. It seems like it would be a really fun thing to do, to see the costumes, the period of the time, and to experience what the museum. I think a lot of people haven't been there before.
Yes, and this is, again, another interesting exhibit. We had one not too long ago that mirrored the King Tut exhibit that had been circulating many years ago. I went to LA as a kid and stood in line many hours.
I remember that, yeah.
But luckily there was another reproduction that was put together and on display at the Muzeo last year.
All right. Thanks again, James Vanderbilt, for being here to tell us all about it. Glad you could join us as well. I'm Leslie Leyton.